citizen, kingdom citizen, yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen of Wisconsin. Kingdom citizen, yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen. Blessings, 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 everyone. This is Dr. David D. King, Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin. And y'all know I can't do the show without my co-host. Y'all, for those who don't know her, let me give y'all an introduction of this woman right here. This woman is a wife, a mom. She is a ferocious mom that if you mess with her rights or her kids' right, she would chew you up and spit you out. She is a ninja when it comes to the Constitution. She will roundhouse you. And as Muhammad Ali says, she float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Let me bring in the constitutional queen, Sarah.
Fight, fight, fight.
So you never know how it's going to come, huh?
Yep, exactly. I have never been in the ring, but apparently I'm going to be good at it when I get there.
Oh, you're going to be great at it. Amen. And I see a good friend of mine watching right now, Coach Moore. Coach Moore, Darvin Moore, bless you, my brother. It's good to see you watching with us on today.
Welcome
to Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin. This is a show where we deal with all three constitutions, the Word of God first, the United States Constitution, the Wisconsin Constitution. We are here for you. We are here for you. We are here for you. And so we're going to go ahead and let Sarah just introduce herself and say something about her before we go deep.
All right. So for people who haven't heard, I am a homeschooling mom of 6. My husband and I just celebrated 19 years of marriage on the 22nd and are one of those mushy gushy, still newlyweds, even this far in couples that everybody loves to hate. We are raising our kids to be world-changing kingdom builders and just really love history. I love teaching the Constitution. I love learning more about the Constitution because while I teach it, I am still learning new things every day. So welcome, and we're glad to have you. We love and invite conversation and dialogue. And we've got thick skin, so we can handle it. So we'll get started.
And we definitely have thick skin. Because salmon always have to have thick skin because salmon swim upstream and not downstream. So that is something that, we're not worried about what people say or what people do. We just keep going full speed ahead. And so we're going to talk today about something that is going around social media right now, especially on Facebook. We have people that are, how should I say it? What's the word I want to use? Ignorant. And that means they don't have the information. We're not calling them dumb. We're not calling them a fool. We're just saying they're ignorant to how things operate. And so for those who don't know, let me just put it up so y'all will know. And then I don't have to hear anybody. There you go. Dr. David King for governor of 2026 as an independent. And so now we're going to talk about it because a lot of people, and I want you, I'm going to say some things to you before I get you started because I like when you
get rolling and yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing I heard is it's impossible for independent to win a statewide race. All right. It's so impossible. Then on the right, someone said that the left is paying me to run as an independent to take votes from the right.
Oh, good Lord.
And and then I was told that the right is paying me to run independent to take votes from the left.
Fun.
And I'm saying to them all, who told you guys that you had to be on either side to run for office? Because I double checked the Constitution and I didn't see that anywhere.
No.
Have you seen that anywhere?
Nope, and I've read it multiple times. I in both the state and the federal constitutions. There's nothing that says you have to be affiliated with any party. There are, rules for how you go about getting on the ballot and all of those things, but it doesn't say you can't get on the ballot. So no, you are perfectly free to go. So, and if I can address that first issue about how it's impossible for an independent to win. I wouldn't say impossible. It has been done in Wisconsin. It happened once in 1924. He won by 53.96% of the popular vote. And so, he did manage to get in there, but that doesn't say that it can't happen again. And we're in a time of massive upheaval where there's a lot of party shifting and change happening. And I would like to say that regardless of personal opinion, regardless of what, whether it's probable or possible or whatever the case may be, this is a good time in history to shake things up.
I like to hear that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at the Democrats, they are falling apart at the seams because they can't figure out what a woman is, let alone which end is up. And they've got the Republicans who have been fighting since the very beginning of the Republican Party, because we have different factions within the party who are trying to get their agenda across. They're trying to change the platform. They're trying to fix the problems, and they have multiple different ways of doing so. And so it's not out of the realm of possibility for somebody to step up and say, hey, I'm calling on Wisconsin as a whole to let's see if we can come together and meet in the middle, right? And not in we're the uniparty and we decide how everything goes regardless of what our constituents want or need. Not in that sort of way, but in the way that says we need people of principle in these offices to actually stand against the rising tide of evil, of destruction and division. And we need to find ways that we can make our office holders return to first principles, return to what our Constitution and our founders originally wanted our country to look like. And in Wisconsin, that's having people in office who say, okay, we're not going to be California because we don't look like California. We don't sound like California. We don't eat like California. We don't do anything like California. So we're going to be Wisconsin, right? We need people who have strong moral convictions that can stand and actually say, hey, we know what women are. We know what men are. And it's been that way since the beginning of time. And we're not going to be going into all of the craziness about nuances and fluidity and all of this stuff, because we've known for thousands of years what a man and a woman are, right? And so all of these things are ways that an independent candidate can actually get hardball questions out there and really challenge the other parties to actually step up and make their statements. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, and you know what? I'm with you. I don't see anything wrong with someone standing in the middle of the scale to keep it balanced, to say, number one, stop trying to indoctrinate our children.
Mm-hmm.
We need to address that our education system is not a one size fit all. Each county has a different need to educate those children. I think that, even when it comes to healthcare, I think we need to bring the holistic back so
Yeah.
families can have a choice on, even with their healthcare. So,
So basically, what we need to do as a state is to go back to the idea that we are not run by the federal government. We run the federal government.
oh, say
So
that again. That sounded so good.
we as a state need to go back to, and this is for every state. I'm not just talking Wisconsin. I'm saying every state needs to go back to the idea that we, the states, we, the United States of America, created the united part, the federal part, right?
Right.
We, the states, have the power and the authority to nullify, to return the power that we gave to the federal government. We have the power to take that back and say, we're not going to allow you to work outside of your constitutional bounds, no matter how many free things and subsidies we want. We're going to treat our state as a sovereign state in and of itself. And we're going to hold the federal government accountable for what they do with our money, right?
Right.
You think about how many, I've had so many conversations in the last 2 weeks about all of the effects that the federal government, the Doge cuts and the beautiful bill and all of these things, all of the effects they're going to have on our state federal funded programs. And we are forgetting these are not funded by the state or by the federal government. They're funded by the taxpayers, right? The government takes our money and it decides where it goes and who gets it. Now, we need to hold the government accountable, because while we have a social contract with them about they're going to deal with the general welfare, the defense of our nation and our borders, there are a lot of spending habits they've gotten into that we've let fly under the radar. Here's a good example. We have the big, beautiful bill making budget cuts to Medicaid, right? And everybody's going up in arms and freaking out. And oh my gosh, we're going to, my grandma's going to lose all of her health insurance. One, you need to get your facts straight, because there's Medicare, which is for, the elderly and for the people who are, who have no other option for insurance and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Medicaid, which is a supplemental. It's not there to cover everything, right? And they found, what was it? I'm trying to remember the numbers. It was well over 1 million people on Medicaid who are able-bodied, between the ages of 18 to 64, can work, and not only that, aren't even citizens of our nation. So tell me how we are funding a federal government funded, state funded program to people who have not even become citizens of our nation. Why are we paying for them to be on a program that was supposed to be for the United States citizens?
Right. And I think that what we need to do as the people of Wisconsin, right? We need to take our mind off of federal, look at Wisconsin,
Yep.
and how we can make Wisconsin stronger,
Yep.
safer, healthier.
Yep.
And I think that the first step is, like you just saying, we got to give them the right facts. We got to give them the right information so they can make the right decision when it comes to their own family and everything like that. But if you choose, and you and I both know that the moment you choose a party side, what you and I think has to go away, and we have to use the sound bites that our party give us to use.
Yep. Exactly.
So we're not being totally honest with the people, because if you go totally honest with the people, then now you become enemy number one with the party that you chose, because that ain't the way we talk.
Yeah. It reminds me of denominational factions in the church, right? Or we can talk about the medical industrial complex, and if you don't toe the medical research line that they approve of, you are ostracized, you lose your license. It's the people in any. This is where we get down to the idea of the factions, right? it's not that you can't have party systems. In fact, even the founding fathers stated very clearly that party systems were inevitable. They were going to happen. The problem comes down when it becomes such a faction, such a divisive faction and fractionated idea, that you have the people at the top of the party system running everything for everybody else, and then you get this group of elites who are basically making decisions regardless of what the differences are in the party, regardless of what anybody has to say about, hey, maybe we should fix this, or maybe we should do this, or, you know, this isn't working for our area of the country, maybe we need to work on something different, right? You get this idea, this very small elite group of people who they become the voice of the party regardless of whether the party actually agrees with them. Case in point, the Democrats. Most Democrats today on the ground floor vote because that's the way they voted their entire life. And we can say the same thing for the Republicans, right? They're not looking at all of the craziness going on up in Washington, D.C. and saying, yep, I'm voting for that. They're voting because their grandpa voted Democrat. They're voting because their great-great-grandfather was whatever, FDR, like they're voting because they were part of our the JFK Democrats, right? And so they're not looking at all of the changes that are going on at the top level of the party, of the factions up there, and they're not seeing that aspect of it and going, wait a minute, this isn't what I agree with, right? This is, maybe. And here's a perfect example, the abortion issue. Now, I am fully and completely, absolutely against abortion. And you have a lot of Democrats who are so differently opinionated on the abortion issue, right? You've got Democrats who are pro-life, but they believe in social justice, and so they vote Democrat because that's what they've been told the Democrats do, right? They believe that whatever the case may be, the Democrats are the party of the Black people or whatever, and maybe you have a Democrat who's voting who, says, okay, abortion up to 6 weeks. After that, it gets sketchy, right? Because that's when the heartbeat starts. We shouldn't be going that far. And then you have Democrats who are like, abortion up to and after birth, right?
Right.
What you're not seeing, though, is that the Democrat Party as a faction, as a group of elites, is saying we have absolutely no care for the sanctity of human life, because we believe that the human life is not sacred. It is not given by God. It is not a created being. It's a evolved creature after millions of years, and we so there's no actual meaning and purpose behind this. And so we are anti-God, and that therefore means that we are anti-human life. If it's not useful, if it doesn't bring purpose and meaning to the party itself or to the nation, it's expendable, right?
Right.
People who are voting on the ground level are not seeing that. There's and this is where you get back to the ignorance, Dr. King.
Right.
They're not seeing that because they are ignorant to all of the changes that have taken place in both parties.
Yes.
Over the course of many years. And so they're sticking with their party because they're loyal. They want to do the right thing. They think that they know what the right thing is. And they've been told, they've been sold a pack of lies that says you have to vote for this party or you are against our democracy, right? You're a threat to our democracy. Don't get me started on that. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutionally represented republic, right?
Now, I was waiting on you to say that because, but you're absolutely right, right? For example, you have a lot of people who love their Second Amendment, right?
Yes.
And so many wanted constitutional carry.
Yep.
All right. Yep. And then Walker turned around, ignored what the people wanted, and gave out concealed carry.
Yep. And said, we the government give you permission to carry your weapons as long as you do it in this way with these rules and regulations, right?
Right. So we missed out on what we wanted, which was constitutional carry, right? Yes. We didn't want people to know we're carrying. We didn't want people to know how many of us got guns or anything like that because I'm one. I am definitely a Second Amendment person,
Right.
right?
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. One of the things that they said was, well, if you don't have concealed carry, then people are just going to go around carrying guns out, on their hip, and everybody's going to see them, and there's going to be fear and all this stuff. It's like, you really think that a human being can't figure out that, if I go into a school, I should probably conceal my weapon just because it's going to, offer a little bit more security and safety, a feeling of safety for the people there. I can't think for myself. I can't reason and rationalize that in certain situations, wearing my gun outside of my shirt instead of underneath it is a bad idea, right?
Right.
That's literally what they're saying is we have to give you permission and we have to put these boundaries and standards in place so that we protect everybody and we don't offend people and we make sure we're still protecting the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. But guess what? They're forgetting one thing. The Constitution didn't give us that right. That was God's right to keep and defend our property and our persons, right? And our families and all of those things, and to defend our country. So here's the thing. When you have the government telling you this is the narrow parameter in which you can keep and bear arms, and we're still sticking with the constitutional right because you can still do it as long as you jump through all these hoops, we're taking the self-governance away from the people, and we are completely disregarding the fact that the Constitution did not give us our rights. Those rights came from God, and the Constitution was there to protect it.
That's it. And well, we're gonna go down that way. I'm not to. You're right. And so when we look at both sides, what they saying to us is we want to govern your rights.
Yeah.
So if I let you govern my rights, now you get to choose what kind of education my kids can have, and not me.
Yeah, and then it's not a right, it's a privilege that was handed down by very fallible human beings. And here's the thing. If we can't trust the government to spend our money or to keep their hands off of our wombs or whatever other complaint that we have to throw out there, why are we trusting them to protect and defend our rights?
I know, right? And so they play these games with us because they know I was sharing with someone the other day. Elections is not won by who's qualified. It's won by who can get you to hate the other one the most.
Yep. And who can spend the most money.
Right, on negative ads against the other person. Not telling you exactly, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to give you your rights back. You don't deserve a handout. But you do deserve the right to have a hand up that you can become self-sufficient.
And can I say, I never thought I would hear myself say this, but this is something that I think that Donald Trump got right. Yes, he did have some ads that were attacking his opponent, but the most of it was, here are the promises I'm making and I'm going to keep them, right? Like here is the plan that I have in place to do this, this, and this. And what has he done since he's gotten into office? He spent most of his time doing this, this, and this, right? I'm not condoning every decision he's made. I am not condoning every, faction and party and all of the things. What I'm saying is that very, very few political candidates on the state or the federal level have gotten to the point where they're saying, I'm going to answer the needs of my nation, of my state, of my local community, by actually stating what my plan is once I get into office and how I intend to hold with integrity and keep those promises, right? We very rarely see political candidates actually doing that. Now, they'll have a little blurbs on their websites and they'll have a little throwaway line in their ads, but like you said, most of them spend all of their time and money attacking the other person to get you to hate that other person or party. And can I tell you, that does not sell me on the candidate.
I know.
It doesn't.
Don't none of that sell you. We already know that. We already, but you're right though. But here's the thing. And I'm gonna use me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can call me Mr. Rejected. All right. because I love that. In 2008 in Milwaukee, there wasn't a lot of Republicans running for like state assembly and all of
Mhm.
that. So it was a winner take all
Yeah.
primary.
Yep.
And so at the time, I wasn't considered a Democrat or Republican, but I jumped in the Democrat primary because it was a winner take all. It was an easy way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we at this forum, and a question came to me, says, "What would you do to make sure the constituents in your district get what it needs?"
Mm-hmm.
My answer: I will work with anybody to get what I need for my district.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats jumped up and say, he is not a Democrat. We do not cross over. So the rest of the campaign, the Democrat put out mailings saying we have a fake Democrat in it. They wouldn't use my name,
Yeah.
but they said we had a fake Democrat.
Because then they can be held accountable for libel and slander, right? If they use
Right.
your name, they're making an actual accusation rather than an allegation that people can take what they will out of it, right?
Right. So you know what they did? Everybody voted for the one that was already in office because we got news there's a fake person.
Yeah, the one that was ruining Milwaukee and didn't and they needed new blood in there, and yet they voted for the same thing. And that's the problem with this whole party system, is that we stick with the same thing over and over and over again, regardless of how bad it is for our community, for our state, for our federal government. We vote status quo because we've been told for so long that's the only way you can get butts in the seat from your party who represent your values. And here's the problem that I have with that.
Now let me show you the other side.
When you compromise to get into your butt in the seat,
yes,
how can I trust that you're going to keep your promises and actually vote the values that you promised you would stand for?
Right. So now let me show you what happened on the other side, because I done been on both sides.
Yep.
I ran on both sides. So when I was in 2010, when I was running as a Republican, they tried to water me down. Like when I was speaking at tea parties, I would call people non-circumcised Philistines that's messing up our rights. Right? They were like, "Oh, you can't say that anymore now." So now you got the Republican endorsement. You can't say what you want to say. So one day they wrote my speech and gave it to me. And they said, "This is what we want you to say." I balled it up and threw it in garbage. I say, either I speak or I don't speak.
Yeah.
Well, here's one we can't control. So whatever happens, we just gonna allow it to happen.
We need to make sure that
we make sure he don't get in.
Yeah.
So in 2010, when there was a Republican landslide, right? I literally beat my opponent for Secretary of State. After midnight, after everybody's race was called, I get a call saying your race was about to be called. Before my race could be called, now watch this. They done called the governor's race. They done called Ron Johnson race at the time. They called J.B. Von Hollen race at the time. So now it's my turn. They didn't call the race. My numbers flipped. Mind you, it was a Republican landslide. I had more votes than Tom Barrett.
Yeah.
My opponent had more votes than Tom Barrett. So you literally gonna tell me a Secretary of State gonna have more votes than a governor?
Yeah.
And because I did not fall in line with them and speak up, do you know they did not challenge that for me?
Yeah.
And then we goes to 2022, running for lieutenant governor. When I tell our party that it's time for lions and no more sheeps, oh, I'm not speaking like them. We're not supporting this brother right here. Matter of fact, let's make some rules so we'll see who can speak at the state party.
Yeah.
So both sides are saying to us, if you for the people, you can't be with us.
Yeah, which is fascinating, because if you're for the people, your constituents are everybody in your district or in your state or whichever office you're trying to hold. Your constituents are there, and it doesn't matter what party they're in, you're representing them all.
Oh, we got let's see which one we want to do first. Any, mini, miny. Let's do Rustin first. We got Rustin in the place.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You hear so much about people who are going on and on about how the numbers are so low in off season elections, so when you don't have a presidential election, you can't get people to come out for local parties. Why aren't we flipping that narrative? Why aren't we getting people who, it doesn't matter which party you're in, you need to get out and vote, right? Why aren't we talking to the people in our neighborhood and saying, hey, I'm running for a nonpartisan county board member position. I need your vote. And here's why. I'm going to represent you in this. This is our particular county. These are our particular county needs. I want to make sure that we are fiscally responsible with your money, because this is how we're going to run this county, right? We're going to defend our county borders. We're going to, right? Like, if you can't start there in a nonpartisan way.
Now, watch this, though. Here's the funny part, though. When the mayor race, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Republican Party, the Republican Party of Milwaukee County,
yep,
wouldn't support me in a nonpartisan race. Now, 71,000 people out of 500,000 people voted for a mayor. 71,000.
Yeah.
The Republican Party would not come out and vote for me. After the election, I get 1, 2, 3 phone calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one was the Green Party. The Green Party says, why don't you come and run for state representative under us? I said, send me your platform. Let me read it. Yep. After I read their platform, I told them I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
The Republican Party, after the election, comes to me, Hilario, and says, why don't you run for state assembly as a Republican?
Mm.
But you couldn't support me in the mayor race, but you want me because my name is out there. People realize who I was. Now you want me to run as a Republican for a state assembly.
Right.
And I told him, never again will I even put an R in front of my name. The third call was from people from the Democrat Party. You know what they said? Your party didn't support you. You need to come over here with us. And I'm sitting there looking like, you all are cuckoo for Coastal Pop. Ain't no way I'm going to kiss a ring to represent something that don't represent me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Let's see what J-Rod had to say, because, J-Rod got a lot to say.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to recreate the party wheel, but they're refusing to go back to first principles, and that gets me every time.
Oh, we hear that a lot of times.
Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you how many times, because the first time I did not vote for Trump when he, his first run for office, I did not vote for him. One, I didn't know enough about him to trust. He'd been a Democrat his entire life. He was pro-choice at the time and suddenly was flipping. And not to say that people can't flip, right? But I didn't vote for him the first time because my conscience would not allow me to do so. And I did vote third party. I later on found out more about the third party, that he was lying about a lot of things. And that really, really bothered me a lot. But here was the thing. I voted based on what my conscience told me was correct, right? I voted based on the fact that I was not going to vote for somebody who one side was claiming him to be the Messiah and the other side was vilifying him as the worst traitor in the history of the world, right? And there wasn't enough information for me then to make a an informed vote that would say, I trust this person to stand in this office, right? And to uphold it with integrity and to go with the values that I hold, right? Why is that a villainous thing to do? You know? Why here's the thing. We argue so much for universal suffrage, universal ability to vote. If you do not do your due diligence and do your homework on the candidates you're voting for, you should not be anywhere near that ballot box.
Ooh, say
You
that one
should
more time, because I don't think they heard you.
if you do not do your due diligence and do your homework on the candidates that you're voting for, you should not be anywhere near that ballot box. I'm not saying you don't have a right to vote. I'm saying you should be near the ballot box unless you've actually done your homework and figured out if this person actually follows your values. Yes. Right? This is where the whole idea of ignorance comes in. We had a founding generation who wanted a literate, a virtuous, a morally upright society who could be well informed and know the laws that they were voting for, the people that they were voting to get into office to represent them, and had a single-minded first principles purpose that their foundations came not from government but from God. This was our founding nation. This was our founding fathers. They did not say, oh, you should just vote because you have a right to vote. They said, when you go to the ballot box, know what you're voting for, because your votes are going to affect future generations for decades, centuries to come. So be very careful about what you are putting your name to.
Right. And you know, a lot of people be saying, right before election, who should I vote for? Are you kidding me?
I was working as a poll worker this last election cycle. I had somebody come up to me with the ballot in hand saying, do you know who these people are? And as a poll worker, I can't tell them who to vote for. I can't even give them information about who these people are. But she's asking about the state superintendent for the DPI, Department of Instruction, Public Instruction. She's asking about the two people who are running and asking which one to vote for on voting day, on election day.
Right. But
and to come up to a poll worker knowing she didn't even know she couldn't ask me these questions. I had to tell her, this is stuff that you probably would have been good to know before you walked in here, because I can't tell you anything.
Right.
And I wanted to so badly. I wanted to tell her who to vote for, right? But here's the thing. That is such a discouraging thing to see when you have people coming in. There were people coming in, they were voting for the other side because they hate Trump. I'm like, okay, but you're voting for the other side of like local races who they have an R after their name. Does that mean that they actually fall in line with Trump, or is that just that they have conservative values and that's the platform that they feel most matches up to them, right? Like,
but here's the scary thing. Most Democrats has conservative values.
Right, exactly. Well, if you look at their social life, their social conservative, their economic, they don't want to be taxed up the wazoo, right? They're trying to put food on the table for their kids, right? They don't want their child to go and give stuffed dollars down a drag queen shirt. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. Most people are not extreme in that way. Now, we hear the extremes because those are the loudest voices in our media, and we can go into a whole new show about the media aspect of this and how the free press is not free anymore because we don't have unbiased or at least honest views of the news and the current events, right? But that's a completely different show. The problem that we have is that we have an entire nation of uneducated, ill-informed people through a public education system that is completely destroyed and dismantled moral and virtuous education, and has given us in its place sheepling who follow the loudest voice in their ear.
I know. And so, but it's funny because, well, I still got time. It's funny because when you talk about it, it's sad, but it's funny because of the fact that we are ignorant,
right?
And what we need to do is get people that are not on neither side to become poll watchers and
Yes.
poll observers because of the fact that they're in the middle and they're just going to make sure it's done right.
Yeah.
And so we miss out on those kind of things because you'll be like, what's a poll watcher?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and here's the thing, it doesn't end at the polls. That's the problem that we have.
right,
And this, I will definitely hold the Republicans more culpable for this, because usually when the Democrats win in the polls, they like double down and start working harder, right?
right,
To get to increase and expand their. In the Republicans, they go, we won in the polls. Now we're going to just sit down and let our representatives do whatever the heck they want up at Capitol Hill, right? That I will definitely hold the Republicans more accountable for that, because we win and we don't actually end up winning. We
right,
get the butt in the seat, but that doesn't mean that we've actually won. And so this is what I would tell everybody, regardless of what party you're in, the values that you hold, the day-to-day, in and out, hardworking values that you hold, you fight for those regardless of who you voted for.
right.
You fight for your God-given rights, because that's where they came from. They didn't come from government. They're not permissions that we need to ask for. They are rights that we need to defend. And you get your butt in a chair and read the Constitution. You read the Declaration of Independence. You read the Bible. You go deep into George Washington's farewell address, and you see that they were prophetic men in the founding era. There were prophetic women too, who saw what was coming and saw all of the things that could crack the foundation of what they were building, and they warned future generations, this is what you can do to combat it. Number one was a moral and virtuous education based in the founding principles of the United States, and that was in the idea that there is a divine creator who is in charge, and any human government needs to be in submission to him in order to succeed. And so if we start there and we get that education after it doesn't matter which election we're coming up to or which election we've just passed, we need to be going into our communities and we need to be propagating and what's the word I'm looking for? Shoring up our message that the God-given rights of the people and the freedoms and the liberties that we have enjoyed for so long are at constant risk of being lost, because we did not inherit liberty and freedom in our blood. We inherited it through the blood of the soldiers and the men who went before us and died for it. And so that needs to keep happening. We need to keep fighting hard, even if it means sacrificing our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. It means we need to keep fighting hard for it so that the next generation can still continue the fight, right?
And,
Not the next generation can sit back and enjoy it, and that's that.
and that's the key right there. Making sure the next generation will have that opportunity. And we don't have that right now. And that's the sad part. And so we're gonna have to pick this back up. I forgot I had a meeting at 2:30, and
Oh no.
I'm blaming you.
Oh yeah, it's my fault. Internet went down and everything went crazy. So
Yeah, but the thing about it is, because we need to talk about this more.
we'll have a part two.
Yeah, and so what I need to do is let you read that quote from George Washington. I'm gonna read my quote from Thomas Paine.
All right.
Yep, Thomas Paine, and then we got to do a part two. So. So let me know when you're ready.
Yep, I'm ready.
All righty, there you go.
So this is just a tiny little snippet. I encourage you to find George Washington's second farewell address and read the whole thing, because there's so much more to it. But I wanted to just read this part because this really does encapsulate what he was concerned about as far as party factions. He says, However, combinations or associations of the above description, so he's talking about the parties, may now and then answer popular ends. They're useful in some occasions, right? They are likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. That's how dangerous party faction can get. And that's what the founding fathers were trying to warn against. So, yeah. Read the whole thing though, because this is good.
Yes. And mine is coming from Thomas Paine, 1787. It says, Party knows no pulse but spirit, no prize but victory. It is blind to truth and hardened against conviction. It seems to justify error by perseverance and denying its own mind the operation of his own judgment. A man under the tyranny of party spirit is the greatest slave upon the earth, for none but himself can deprive him of the freedom of thought.
Yep.
I love this. And so we want y'all to know we're going to finish this up because it is so much to do, so much to get out. And we got all the way to November of 2026.
Yep.
By the time we get through with y'all, y'all going to be well educated, well learned, and you're going to go to the voting booth, not out of emotion, but out of knowledge.
Yes.
So this is Dr. David King with the Constitutional Queen saying God bless and goodbye.